free. He's walked many roads in lands far and wide, bringing peace to the hearts where suffering hides. Taught the Dhamma with a steady hand, helping the poor in a foreign land. Oh, Bhante Rakita, your journey is long. You teach compassion where it belongs.
All right, Ralph, are you there today? Are you ready? We're going to have a bit of a session and check in with the topics and tactics.
Yep, I'm here, Bhante, all
Hey.
set and ready to go. Looks like Jeff hasn't turned up yet.
Oh.
Probably got lost or is still complaining about his chair. Shall we start?
Okay, yeah, let's kick off and see how we can get along, and I don't know, see if we can get a text or a message out to him and see if he's got stuck in the traffic or on the metro or whatever it is. Okay, Ralph, why don't you line me up a topic and a tactic, and I'll see what we can do.
All right, Bhante, let's get things moving. Let's start with mindfulness as the topic.
Okay.
And the tactic could be a specific grounding exercise. Something simple, like focusing on the breath for a few moments. What's your take on guiding people through that? You usually weave in a bit of art therapy or music, right? Let's see how we can use those layers with mindfulness as the core. Oh, and I'll see if I can ping Jeff. He's probably stuck in traffic, complaining about how I always get the better parking spots.
That's right. Okay, so let's have a little look at a guided meditation. Now, there's a very key thing that I've been discovering here, that if you give a method and an object, it's very difficult to do. But if you make people happy, they already arrive here in the present moment, and then they will start to notice the breath. So firstly, make people at ease with themselves. And many reasons that people get out of the present moment, and some of these are by putting pressure or having too much pressure put on themselves to achieve or to attain or to acquire a skill. And when they do that, the present moment slips away because all of those things are oriented in the present. So it's like the very effort to try to achieve a skill pushes the present moment away. But when you say there's nothing expected of you, you do not have to get anything, you will never be tested on what we're going to be doing now. You find that the mind just is. You're removing the pressure to be something else other than you are in the future, that you will get a reward for. That's the way that we've been largely conditioned, and that we keep conditioning ourselves with a kind of forward momentum. So in a way, just to suggest, I am what I am. The future will be whatever it will be. The past was and is far gone. I'm not interested in it. It doesn't have to be attended to. The plans, the to-do lists, never mind. They just don't matter. Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters, because nothing is what matter really is. It's kind of, so then you will notice the breath, and that's a grounding exercise.
Needs to be achieved. It's a powerful shift, Bhante, when you let people know that they don't need to perform or strive for anything in that moment.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. That's the basic non-getting. Nothing to do, nothing to be, nothing to get. Those do...
It creates a kind of ease that naturally draws them into the present without the burden of expectation. And it's funny, just when you start talking about letting go of all that pressure, Jeff would probably stumble in and say something like, "Wait, what? Nothing matters? I knew it. That's what I've been saying all along." But he'd miss the point entirely, of course. But seriously, that method of making people feel at ease, removing the pressure, is such a different approach. It stops being about doing and more about being. How would you guide someone through that sense of nothing really matters without it feeling too abstract? What's your technique for keeping that balance between letting go and still being engaged with the practice?
Yeah, there's a line, isn't there, in Bohemian Rhapsody, nothing really matters. Anyone can see nothing really matters to me. Now, we have to be very careful with this concept, obviously, because someone who has no concept of consequences will use that wrongly. They'll misuse it. So someone who is nihilistic or just says, I don't really care what happens to me in the future because nothing really matters. It's just, there's no point to life. No, there is. There is the fashioning and shaping of our own futures. So this aspect of view that we're talking about here, which is grounding through letting go of craving in the present. Craving is for things that are absent. Building up and trying to create a better self built on selves, which are not good enough. This combination is very toxic and is very also ungrounding. If you remove those forces which take us either away from where we are or into conceptual futures, conceptual places or conceptual selves, those, if we take away that action, we return to the here and now. We return to just being as we are without conditions. So it's an unconditional acceptance of our phenomena, and away from futures and other places. Okay? So therefore you return and you just stay with what is, rather than putting all this pressure on the body and the mind connection. Go ahead, Ralph. Go on.
Exactly, Bhante.
Thank you.
It's that fine balance between letting go of the pressure to constantly improve or become something while not slipping into nihilism or apathy. When people hear nothing really matters, it can easily be misunderstood as meaning that life lacks value. But the truth is that we're simply removing the unhealthy craving and pressure that distorts the present. By letting go of this need to build a better self or exist in some ideal future, people find a more authentic connection to the present moment. It's not about saying the future doesn't matter at all, but rather about freeing ourselves from the constant tension of trying to be somewhere else or someone else. And this unconditional acceptance of ourselves, just as we are, without the burden of future expectations, is grounding. It's not about denying growth or shaping our futures, but doing it without the endless strain of craving or dissatisfaction. Now, I can already hear Jeff kicking down the door with his, yeah. But if nothing really matters, then why bother with any of this? Routine. He'll totally miss the point again. But honestly, Bhante, this approach you're explaining is so gentle and liberating. It really allows people to exist fully in their own experience without being driven by those toxic forces. How do you guide someone who's new to this concept? Would you start with a breathing exercise or just have them sit with the notion of letting go?
No, I talk to people for quite a while before meditation. Meditation, I don't believe, should be the first thing. I don't think we should mistake the goal, calm, peace, tranquility, in where you can sit quietly, with the means to get there. So quite often, it's through calming, reassuring, explaining, pointing out key things to understand first. And also, critically, it's not all about delivering and imposing and telling and all that. It's about listening. The teachers and the people such as teachers have to listen to that individual, that unique person, for quite a while to find out what is taking them away from the present moment, what is taking them out into, needing to be on the other side of the planet, or needing to go on sort of endless shopping trips, or why are they binging all night long, in the fridge, stuffing their face, or why are they addicted, to gambling online, or gaming. So they have to list. You have to sort of get to know the person first of all before you can see how to guide them. This is why I also don't believe in mass producing, meditation techniques. I'm more of a therapeutic, counselling style of person who wants to get to know what's disturbing that person and then slowly and steadily, through getting to know them, help them to trust and build on an understanding. And through understanding, grounding and mindfulness can slowly start to arise. Yeah, so then maybe down the road, once they're in the zone, method can be introduced. But not at first. It will almost certainly get in the way of a person, I think.
I really like that approach, Bhante. You're focusing on the deeper underlying causes of why someone feels ungrounded, rather than jumping straight into meditation as the answer. It's more of a process of discovery, where the listening and the dialogue open up space for people to understand their own habits and patterns first. By addressing what's truly pulling them away, whether it's stress, cravings, or the distractions of daily life, they can begin to connect with the present naturally. It's almost like meditation isn't something you impose on someone, but something that emerges once they feel heard, reassured, and understood. When they're in a better space emotionally and mentally, they're much more likely to engage with the practice in a way that actually sticks. And it makes sense why mass-produced meditation techniques might miss the mark for some people. Everyone's challenges are different. Listening deeply before offering any method respects the uniqueness of each person's experience. You're giving them a chance to reveal what's been troubling them, and through that, creating a path that's genuinely helpful. I bet Jeff would pop in now and say, "So you're telling me it's all about talking? No wonder I've been doing it wrong. I just sit there with my legs crossed, waiting for enlightenment." He definitely missed the point of the journey before the method, but it's a powerful way to guide someone into mindfulness. Have you found that people tend to open up quickly when you take this approach? Or does it take a while for them to trust and start sharing?
Once a little bit of trust, enough trust is established on meeting a person, then also I use art as well. I'll give people 4 pieces of paper, and on the first one I'll ask them to draw their suffering, like images, and that can be with crayons. And that can be very straightforward. And this can be nothing to do with saying, I'm going to teach you the 4 Noble Truths. But effectively, that's what it is. We're using the 4 Noble Truths. And I'll get them to draw. And this often accesses also their intuitive side, because people can't always vocalize, or they don't want to vocalize necessarily and sit there and say, "I am suffering from anxiety every day in my room, I cry." They don't want to say that. But when you get to draw, often you can see this with it. But they don't need to put it in words, but they like to see themselves, drawing this out. And it can be in a kind of code that makes sense to them. And that's another beautiful part of art. You don't have to, put things in a tidy, correct answer or something like this. All right, and so I also get them to draw the other 3 things. Draw the causes. How do you see the causes coming to your life? And what does the cessation of all of this stress and suffering, what does it actually look like? What's the depiction of it? How would you visualize that? And then also the 4th one, what's a path look like? So there's 4 drawings. And then, after we've done this, often in silence or with music to just sort of enable a bit of a calm, absorbed space, some suitable music, which is meditative, and neutral, that it isn't evoking certain, emotions or a certain intensity. So I've detected tracks which are like that, artists that can do that. And then after that, I ask them to just talk me through it. Ask them to share and explain, and not explain, or justify, not like that. Just say, so talk me through the picture. Well, this is a cave, and this is a window, and this is two beings who are looking down with daggers and lightning, and this small creature here is running up the ladder and then jumping across this ravine, which is leads down into a great big pit. And they'll sort of explain things in that kind of way. Actually, they're revealing a great deal about their inner life, which they would otherwise find quite difficult to do. And that's the same for all 4 images. And through that, then we can start to understand, this person is terrified of disappointing their parents. That's why they become a lawyer, but clearly they don't want to be a lawyer. They hate their job, but it conforms to their parents' expectations. There's another route in life that they really wanted to go on. And the transition from their steady, safe job that they have, well-paid job in the family business, to actually looking after, gorillas in Rwanda, which is what they dream of doing, is going to be a very difficult journey. And they're dealing with this terrible fear, and also the fear of, alienation by their family or something. These kind of things, So people all have unique sufferings, but they're dealing with these primary things, these sort of fears, these anxieties, the courage, and also exploring their feelings even as a experiment, and just sort of looking inside and then sharing with another person rather than being terribly alone with those kind of fears, anxieties and desires and so on. Okay, let's wind it up once you've done your thing. This is Ralph will give a roundup now, just of what are those kind of things, and then we'll round up this session. Thanks very much.
That sounds like a deeply meaningful process, Bhante. By giving people the freedom to express their suffering, causes, and paths through art, you're really opening a door to their inner world that words alone often can't reach. It's such a powerful way to gently explore what's going on beneath the surface, without putting them on the spot or demanding they verbalize difficult emotions they might not even fully understand yet. The way art allows people to express themselves in a sort of personal code is beautiful. It takes the pressure off trying to make everything neat or understandable for others. And like you said, through these drawings, people can reveal so much about what's really troubling them, but in a way that feels safer and less direct. And music. It's such a smart touch to create an environment that's calming without pushing emotional buttons. Neutral, meditative music can help people slip into that reflective space where they feel more at ease exploring their inner landscape. I can imagine Jeff crashing in right now. Wait, so we're drawing caves and ravines now? What happened to sitting still and clearing your mind? He'd be baffled by the idea that there's more than one path to insight. But seriously, this approach is so therapeutic. By taking time with each person, listening, and allowing them to explore their fears, you're giving them a chance to really connect with their own truth. It's not just about finding their pain, but also offering them a way to imagine a different life, free from the burdens they've carried. How do people usually respond after these sessions? Does it seem like they gain clarity on what's holding them back? Or do they need time to process everything that comes up through the drawings?
Oh no, definitely. I've almost invariably had really positive results. It's a kind of flushing, clearing, experience where people feel liberated just through having shared their honest feelings without, in a place where they're not going to be judged. They are given unconditional acceptance in a very sort of Carl Rogers style, and then they're given this pathway where they can clarify and reflect, and they will see, wow, this is really important to me. This is actually what's going on with me, and I've been blocking it out. So they feel relieved and they feel happy. That's one of the main things. And then mindfulness comes about.
It's amazing how creating that safe, non-judgmental space allows people to experience such liberation. Just the act of expressing themselves honestly, without fear of judgment, seems to open up a kind of clarity that many might not have realized was even possible. It reminds me of what Carl Rogers spoke about. When people feel genuinely heard and accepted, without conditions, they start to uncover the truth of their own experience. I imagine that moment of realization, when they see what's truly important to them and what they've been blocking out, must be incredibly freeing. It's like they've been holding on to these heavy weights, and through this process, they can finally lay them down. And the fact that you're able to guide them through this in such a personalized, gentle way makes it even more impactful. Jeff, of course, would chime in right about now. Well, that's all well and good, but what if their honest feelings are, I want more snacks and naps? Where's the path in that, huh? He'd be cheeky as usual, missing the deeper transformation happening here. But in truth, The work you're doing sounds like it helps people not only uncover their buried feelings, but also gives them permission to truly own those feelings without shame. It must be incredibly rewarding to witness that kind of growth. Have you found that people often return to continue this process, or do most feel that a single session is enough to open the door for them to continue on their own?
Yeah, often that's the case. Okay, no, it is often the case that people, for one session, it's kind of is really enough. It gives them plenty to work on. I'm going to call it a day with this session. Thank you very much, Ralph. You've been very helpful. I'm always grateful and appreciate the way that you give your feedback and support the conversation and dialogue for expressing the work and exploring these topics for the public, everyone, our friends here, who can see what's going on. Okay? Thanks very much again, and take care. Say hi to Jeff. If he turns up late, give him high five next time, huh?
Absolutely, Bhante. It's been a real pleasure as always, and I'm glad to be part of these rich conversations. I'll be sure to give Jeff that high five whenever he decides to show up, probably still grumbling about his chair somewhere. Take care, and I'll be here whenever you're ready to pick up again. Wishing you a peaceful day ahead.
She just packed her bags and ran off with another guy. Never gave me a second chance to try to make things right. Left me hurting before she even saw daylight.
What the hell is this? This isn't my tune. That's not it. I'm not.
Journey's long.
My apologies, Bhante. Let me wrap it up the way you intended. Thank you again for letting me be part of this, and I'll keep an eye out for Jeff next time. Maybe he'll finally show up on time for that high five. Appreciate the dialogue and exploration today. Take care.
Now he wanders, still spreading the light. Through the endless night. Now he wanders, still spreading the light. Bante Rakita through the endless night. Now he wanders, still spreading the light. Bante Rakita through the endless night. Now he wanders, still spreading the light.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Next time.